Hey there guys, this is Flamzeron, aka YouTube's Tosca, and this is the 30th episode of the Wheneverly Update. We're at 30 now. You know, it's not as amazing as having 78 episodes recorded of my podcast, or having 60 of that one Tales fanfic that I did, which was kind of poorly written, but the idea, the concept of it was still nice. Anyway, I figured I should give you guys a bit of an update since I haven't really been talking too much. If you keep up with my blog, you'll get more detailed and more frequent updates. So, again, please go to my blog. You know, put a link if you want to check it out. You know, just if you really care. But I'm also going to try and record this little thing differently. I'm going to try and record them in sections based on what I talk about. That way, I can kind of have a little more control over how long it is, and I can make the quality better. Because Windows Live Movie Maker doesn't let you stretch images based on length, like how long they are, like the original did. So I usually use that for these videos, but you know. But yeah, I've been doing a few things. I've been watching a lot of anime, so I guess I'll start off with anime here. Firstly, on my own, I finished all of Inu X Boku SS on Crunchyroll, like the entire thing, all 12 episodes. The relationship between Miketsukami and Ririchiro, or Ririchiyo, or however you say her fucking name, I don't even really like her to begin with. I'll get to her in a minute, though. But I find the relationship pretty interesting because at times, I mean, if you've seen the show, then you know that Miketsukami has a lot of love for Ririchiro. Like, it's almost like he's obsessed. But there are also some times where, like, there's this one time where it almost seemed like he doesn't really care for her. Like, it's almost like a gimmick, or at least it appeared that way to me. That's clearly not the case, especially once you see how things turn out. But yeah, one thing to note about him is that he has an entire episode dedicated to his past, narrated by his voice actor, Yuichi Nakamura, who does a good job of voicing him. He almost pulls off a Takahiro Sakurai kind of voice, but he doesn't have like the Takahiro Sakurai-esque voice, if you get my drift. But they have an entire episode dedicated to him, and his backstory is revealed, and you get to see a more manipulative side about him, and almost seductive. So it makes you kind of see him in a different way, almost as like he's a bit of a douche, and almost like he has like some sort of alternate agenda for being with Ririchiro and whatnot. But really, all it turns out is he develops this love for her. You know, it's pretty interesting dealio. Though, I mean, I know he likes her, but honestly, I find her kind of annoying at times. I don't really have any problem with her character personally, but I don't have any problem with the way she dresses either. But what bothers me is that she's got this thing where she'll start acting cold towards people, and like her big dealio is that, I don't know, people were mean to her, and she tries to avoid conflict, but in truth, she's actually really lonely or something. The way they pull off her being so cold and mean, and kind of like, you're not worth my time, kind of. The way they pull it off is almost as if like it's not even a reaction. That may be a flaw to that may be a flaw to how the show was made, like just the dynamic of the whole thing, which probably can't be fixed just because, you know, there's a second or two in between, you know, A and B, so to speak. But I don't really I even near the end, like when they kind of explain why, it's like, you know, that doesn't help anything. She comes off as just being just a jerk. I mean, it almost comes off as if it's not really her, and she's kind of putting up a front, which is true, she is, but still, I don't know, I just don't like that aspect about her at all. But overall, the show was actually pretty good, and it does have closure to it, in the sense of, the two characters kind of confessing their feelings and become a couple. It ends in that sense. It probably could go on, but it'd be more about, what they would do. So, I mean, there could be a second season, but I wouldn't count on it, especially since I think it came out in like 2011 or 10 or something. But yeah, decent show. I'd recommend it. It's out on DVD too if you want to get it. The next thing I watched completely was Angel Beats with Nick and AJ. We were trying to find something to watch, and it's like, hey, we should watch Angel Beats, and then we watched it. Though I kind of wasn't looking forward to it, because I saw the first episode, and I remembered how kind of... I don't know. A lot of people say this is a very emotional anime, and it is, but also, I just feel like it's just kind of depressing in general. I think it's because of the whole thing about it being in heaven, or like in some sort of like purgatory thing, because these characters are in the afterlife. It takes just minor spoilers, I guess, even though they mention it like in the first episode, but they are in the afterlife. But I think maybe it's because I kind of saw the last episode ahead of time, so I don't know. It's really weird. Really, really kind of weird. I don't really know how to put it. But I overall think it was a very like a good, interesting show. Like near the end, like all three of us almost started to tear up a little bit. Even if they won't admit it, I will. So I was at least getting close to tearing up. Of course, I was getting close to tearing up a few times, I think, in that series. Animation wise, it looked very nice. I don't know who made it, if it was Ufotable or not, but or I don't know who it was, but it was very nice. Like it looked very, very beautiful and very and they put in some humor too. Like, when someone would go like flying, it would go in slow motion and start playing like this really happy song. Like do 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 do, and then it would like go poof. It was actually kind of funny. And we watched it on Netflix, so we watched it in English. The English dub was actually really good. And a few after doing some research, I learned that the voice actor for Seiya from Saint Seiya was in it for like one episode. So that was it. But the dialogue was decent. I feel like it has that new dub standard, and I feel like it's suffering a little bit from Funimation syndrome, where characters, I don't know, the way they talk, and it's mainly Funimation, and it's mainly everything that Funimation does that's not Dragon Ball, or anything that doesn't have like some sort of standard of dialogue that they have to do. But and thankfully Angel Beats didn't do that much over embellishing dialogue that other Funimation stuff. And I mean, this is Sentai Filmworks, so it even had Orphan, its voice actor David Matranga, in it as a pretty big character. And there were a few gay jokes in there, and the main character Otonashi, who is a total awesome redhead. And yes, I say he has red hair. I don't give a fuck if it's like orange. I say it's red. He has this one line where he calls someone a dickwad in the first episode, which I thought was pretty funny because, at the time when I first saw the first episode before we watched the entire series, I saw, I heard him say, it's like, oh, it's funny. I've never actually heard. And at the time, I thought that was really good. Of course, I don't know what he said in the Japanese version, but that doesn't really matter. Overall, very good show. But it is kind of sad and depressing. From what I understand, it's not Clannad after story depressing or Anohana depressing, sad, or whatever. But for me, it was depressing. For most people, it's sad, or at least the ending is. I don't know. It is available on DVD, obviously. with some OVAs to go along with it and whatnot. And, I think it was made by the same people who made the Little Busters, and I think they're working on the Little Busters anime now, so that's kind of cool. I've been wanting to see it or experience it in some way. But anyway, overall, I'd recommend it, but it is very sad near the end, and it can be depressing depending on who you are. But so yeah, good show, but kind of sad. Next, Nick, AJ, and I watched all of Panty Stocking. We actually watched the English dub. We got it on DVD, or it's technically AJ's copy, but he left it at my place. Or it's actually still in my basement where I'm recording this. But anyway, we watched it. For me, it was my first time watching all of it. I had seen the first 2, technically 4 episodes because of the way it's made. And I say that because it's made like an American cartoon where there's 2 episodes. But, since it's an anime, when I watched it subtitled, the 4 episodes were combined into like 2 parts. Like one had the first 2 and the other one had the next 2. But AJ and Nick had watched the entire thing in Japanese beforehand, and we watched the English dub. As usual, they do a good job with the dub. They definitely took advantage of the language barriers. And I mean literally like barrier, like sort of like a filter. No, not filter, like sort of like a protection. Basically what I'm trying to say, they definitely took advantage of the swearing in it and came with some pretty interesting things. Though again, I can't help but feel like even for a show like Panty Stocking, Funimation did kind of punch up the dialogue. 'Cause there's this one line that Panty said where it's like, hey, I just got back from going shopping with my dick out, and I'm thinking that's not necessary to be. It's funny, but it's not necessary at all. Like, I feel like it was just, they just threw it in there. And I hadn't seen that episode in Japanese, so I don't know what they were saying. And of course, for all I know, Funimation could have just, I don't know. I don't know. Stop yelling at me. I don't know. Anyway, but overall, really good. I really like Panty, and I like Stock. I like both of them, and I like how they change outfits within each episode. I like that. I think that's pretty cool. But and I think also the show, just me kind of nitpicking a little partially, but like the whole repent motherfucker thing, I'm pretty sure they're just saying repent. Based on the subtitles that I saw, but of course that's not really punching up any dialogue. That's more of trying to get the line to fit in with the lip flaps. I mean, they could edit it, but they don't really need to. Or they should. They don't really. Dubbing companies don't do that anymore. To be fair, I've only seen it used once, and I have seen an instance where they probably should have or changed the line, berserk. But that's a different story. The ending, they kind of throw a fastball at you, and almost kind of set up for a second season. I think, but I've heard that the guy who made it is known for making shows but not making any second seasons. Of course, for all we know, they could be working on it, and they might be making it even longer. Or I don't know, maybe they're working on a movie, or I think Gainax is the people who made it. I'm not entirely sure. But who knows? Maybe they're working on it, maybe they're not, or maybe, I mean, the show like that, they'd probably have to think about how to do the they'd probably have to come up with that show. I could see the show taking a while, because I mean, really funny shows, for one thing, you have to make sure the jokes